Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. In today's video, I'm going to be doing my 2025 digital journals flip through. I did do a flip through in the middle part of the year, but now that all of my journals are finished, I wanted to go back through them with you all. I have three main journals: my reading journal, my movie journal, and my archive journal. I do have these other two, but I have not used them at all this year, so I'm not even going to open them, but we can start the flip through with my reading journal. I feel like this is the journal I used the most this year, and I think last year my archive journal was. Also last year while I was recording this, I did kind of some end of the year thoughts as well as some superlatives for the books that I read. I'm not going to do superlatives this year because I told you I wanted to do a little Q&A about reading, and I actually found a booktube tag that's about my reading taste, so I thought I could do that today as you watch me flip through these pages that you've probably seen me go through 50 times before. The first question is, how do you rate books? Oh my gosh, by my enjoyment. That's first and foremost. I rate everything by how much I enjoyed it. I'm also a pretty generous rater, like especially when I'm reading a manga or a manhwa. I just feel like even the artistic talent alone is just like enough to warrant probably 3 stars. Also, I already typically only tend to read things that I know I'm going to like, and so that's why I feel like on my channel, I hate that I sound a little bit repetitive. I'm like, this was so good. I really liked this. I wish there was more that the author had written, but like truly that's how I feel. The next question is, what's the book that made you a reader? I have never not been a reader. Like, I just can't relate to those people who were like, oh, I loved reading as a kid, but then didn't pick it back up until they were like 26. Like, I can't relate to that. But what got me into reading BL, I would say On or Off is probably what got me into reading like manhwas in general, but Uncanny Charm is what made me realize they could be very good. The next question is, do you have a genre niche? For novels, I tend to read more literary fiction, but for BL stories, not really. Like, I'll pretty much read anything if I think it looks interesting to me. The next question is, do you generally prefer character-driven or plot-driven stories? In terms of novels, 100% character-driven. Like, it's nice if a story has a really great plot, but honestly, amazing characters can save a flop plot any day. It's kind of hard to answer that with like a visual medium like a manga or a manhwa, because the plot is the romance. Like, the plot is the two characters falling in love with each other. So that's actually why I kind of get excited when there is a plot outside of romance within a BL story. But also a lot of my favorite BLs do have like main characters who are just very dynamic and go through a lot. So I'm still saying character driven. The next question says, what's a book that you love so much that you don't care if others don't like it? I mean, every book. I literally do not care if someone thinks every single thing that I love is terrible garbage. I don't know why other people care about anyone else's opinions about what they like. The next question is kind of similar, but I think it's a better question. It says, what's a book you love so much that if someone doesn't like it, you know your reading tastes don't align? I can't so much say like there's something like a certain title that I really love, but more so like people who really enjoy those stories that to me have no plot whatsoever and also no redeeming qualities. The ones that are just like toxic relationships and a lot of assault, I know that that's not to even say that someone might not like the same things that I like, but I just know that I'm not going to like the same stories that they like. To me, if there's romance left out of your love story, I don't want to read it. In terms of regular novels, I would say either maybe like Megan Abbott's novels or The Song of Achilles. Like, I think if people didn't like either of those, then they probably wouldn't understand the sorts of things that I do like reading. The next question says, what's in your trash pocket? What's a trash pocket? What books, tropes, or themes that you know are bad, but you love them anyway? The first thing that comes to my mind is like a lot of Omegaverse tropes. I guess specifically like a story where it's an Omega and an Alpha falling in love. Like, I feel like they're also cliche usually, but I still love them. The next question says, do you have any deal breakers in books? For BL stories, I kind of just talked about it. Anything that feels like assault. There are gray areas, kind of like in an Omegaverse story where it's like, well, it was the pheromones, blah, blah, blah. But like anything where it's just like, it feels egregious, like I'm like, no, like I don't want to read any more of this. The next question says, what's a strong opinion you have about a book released within the last year? Whether it's overrated, underrated, or just a book you need to share. I don't know if I have any opinions about any BL stories particularly, but when it comes to regular novels, this isn't about a specific book, but I'm such a sprayed edges hater. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with the content of the books. I just think that it's ugly and such a pointless like way of getting people to buy more than one copy of a book. The next question says, what do you look for in writing? What makes a book stand out to you? With any sort of visual media, whether that be manga, manhwas, like anything, I always look for there to be this like very particular sort of way of paneling. Like, I love when artists and authors do sort of like very subtle expression shifts between a couple of panels. Are they using the panels in an interesting way? Are they adding in little filler bits so that I get a sense of like, what season are we in? What is the setting like? How does the inner monologue contribute to the story? How is the dialogue? How does that contribute to the story? Any sort of writing that feels moody and atmospheric to me is always going to be my favorite. In terms of actual novels, all I ask is that it not be like overwritten. I can't stand sentences that like, I guess in theory sound pretty, but I'm like, what did I just read? Like, I don't want it to take me 3 times to read a sentence. The next question says, how do you decide what to read next? Y'all know me, I'm such a seasonal reader. I love to make little curated monthly TBRs. But of course, I also read things outside of my TBR. If I see something that looks good and I start reading it and I get pulled into it and I read the whole entire thing, great. I think a lot of people think that if you are like a TBR maker, if you're a list maker, that you're not still somehow a mood reader, but that is not true of me at all. And those are all the reading taste tag questions. Actually, there were 3 more, but I kind of just felt like they were not applicable to me. I've had so much fun making spreads this year. My reading journal definitely got a lot of love. I'm still feeling so sorry to my movie journal. I really neglected it this year, but I'm gonna try harder next year. Also, my archive journal was a little bit more sparse, and that's mainly just because I really do not have the space on my iPad to continually add more and more spreads to my digital journals, unfortunately. Oh, also, I put either like a star or a heart or something up on the screen. That meant that those were my favorite spreads that I'd made of the year. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me one last time this year. I hope that you have a really nice start to your 2026, and I'll definitely be back with more videos. So for the last time in 2025, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.